Yo, She-Hulk has been done for over a week at this point, in on or around. I'm not too sure when this video is ultimately going to come out. This is going to be evergreen. I get it, because she's green, sort of. Nobody cares about She-Hulk, okay? Like, the TV series has come and gone, and ultimately, for normies, it's inoffensive tripe that they might have caught an episode of, and it's like, boy, this is boring as all hell. And for the people who are actually paying attention, people who are active in the culture war, they understand what the heck is actually going on here. They just seen a feminist agenda, and then listening to some of the interviews of the few of the showrunners and the writers, and they start to realize that, oh no, this is a direct attack at the fans, at the expense of a beloved character that they sacrificed at the altar of wokeness. Oh, okay, I'm starting to understand here, okay? Because the last time we talked about this, it was the showrunner or the star of it just saying, fuck the fans, and we just made this entire 3-year cycle, okay? We just knew that we were writing a shitty show, we were predicting the criticism that was going to be out there, and then, yeah, self-fulfilling prophecy comes forward, and that, yeah, no, the fans are to blame for all this stuff, so fuck the fans. We fulfilled our own wants and desires at the expense of the public perception of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Weird flex, I guess, but now it gets even worse, because now they were just, well, doing a little bit more self-snitching right here. She-Hulk director wanted to make a sex-positive show. It's very obvious. She fucks like 5 guys, okay? And the highest barrier of entry for one of them, she bought She-Hulk some fries. Okay, cool. She had to catfish another motherfucker, and she had to enslave via reality warping magic floomps. Had to keep a blind superhero at her beck and call at all times. Yeah. Is that sex positive? Okay, cool. Because if that's what you took away from what the character of She-Hulk was, you totally fucking missed it, okay? It's like J.J. Abrams thinking that Star Wars is it's just light shows, and it's all about space battles. You know, it's not about like an overarching familial dynasty being laid out in front of you, and then the tragic events of what led Anakin Skywalker to become Space Hitler, only to be redeemed at the end. No, it's all about the nice colors and the lasers going off in the skies and the vroom, vroom, vroom. Fucking retard. And I don't even like Star Wars like that. And I've never read a She-Hulk cartoon, or a comic book in my entire life. Didn't watch this hunk of shit show. But I see these articles that pop up, and it's like, oh, you guys are just after the kids. I understand, because it just seemed like the subject material. I've watched a ton of reviews on all this stuff, okay? Because I like the reviews, I like the commentary on top of it, just to know what a good story entails. Listening to the thought process of some of the reviewers that I like Mahler, Rags, okay, the entire EFAP crew that's out there, Friday Night Tights crew, okay, Nerdrotic, Geeks and Gamers, Ryan Cannell, those types of guys, okay? I like them, I appreciate them for what they do. Your mileage may vary, but I fuck with them. They're good guys. And it's like, okay, cool. The criticism on one hand is, who cares? This is for kids. And then on the other side, it's like, why is She-Hulk such a whore? Why can't we make this make sense, okay? No, it's supposed to be a meta commentary about incels online, which is okay, great. You came in to some of the most rich storytelling, some of the most long-running, comprehensive material that you could possibly adapt to the screen. It became wildly successful for the mass public that's out there, okay? What started as a niche thing for a bunch of basement-dwelling dorks, your words, not mine, I've been to comic shops everywhere, okay? That's not a disfavorable interpretation of the people that are there, and that's totally fine. I've got my comic of choice. I'm gonna come across as normie as humanly possible, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Sonic the fucking Hedgehog, okay? So I got a little short box of comics that are out there, okay? I'm not entirely immune to this stuff. So I've been to those places. I've seen the guys who were fucking with comics back in the day. Okay, so those guys were really, really protective about their fandom. And then they got the opportunity to see everything splattered across the screen from the late 90s with the X-Men and the Spider-Man stuff. Even going back to the Blade stuff, okay? Wesley Snipes being a badass on screen, okay? Only to see us, a couple of decades later to just have PG-13 Blade, which has been shelved indefinitely because the director came in and it's like, what the fuck, I can't tell a Blade story if you're going to tell me that it's PG-13, so he's like, fucking deuces. Anywho, so yeah, all of those quote-unquote nerds, okay, those virgins that were out there, okay, being a little bit protective about their fandom and then seeing it become the biggest franchise in history forever, and then to be kicked out of the club and be called incels because the shit that's being represented on screen is, one, not a true and accurate representation of what's in the comics. It's not loyal to the source material. And then B, it fucking sucks. And now you got another critique on there. They're using this as a vehicle to sexualize children. think I'm joking? The show was about being sex positive for She-Hulk, okay? Who is, again, yeah, she fucks around in the comic books, to the best of my interpretation, from what I know about some of the lore when it comes to She-Hulk. And all you need to do is just type in She-Hulk and go to an image search. Make sure that you have the filter on, okay, appropriately. Moderate and off is fine. Or not off, sorry, don't have off on, unless, of course, you're one of those weirdos that's out there that thinks that 2D is the law, and that's totally on you, I guess. But it's not that hard to find sexualized images of a character that is, well, for some intents and purposes, a sexualized character, because yes, she got around in the comic books, okay, that's totally fine. But if you wanted to be making a Disney Plus show about sex positivity and then try to market it towards children, that's some degenerate ass shit. And a bunch of stuff that I was talking about, what was that, last time that we talked about it, I'm not entirely sure what day it was. I made it clear that these writers, they only know the world that they're in, okay? They can't see outside of that. They can't steelman the opposing opinion. Case in point, we knew what the criticisms of this show was going to be 3 years ago, and then we just predicted them as they came out. Okay, cool, you know you were making a shit show, so why didn't you just know what you were going to be making, and then instead of trying to dunk on incels, actually write a good show, because that would have doubled as a dunk, and then more people would have appreciated it, and then you would have been able to get future projects. But because you're being good little servants that are out there, okay, that you're licking the boot of Disney, you'll probably get another fucking project. Let's stop the cap. So to just add on to this already evolving point, you think that Hollywood has this overarching plan and that it's all completely orchestrated in order to push a certain agenda? Well, it's pretty obvious that they're trying to push certain things, okay? Not everybody's sophisticated in applying this ideology as others, because sometimes you get idiots that are out there self-snitching like this. Like, it's so fucking obvious, okay? What was Disney's mandate when Ron DeSantis was taking them on? Okay, cool. Going into the future, there is, for our Disney programming, 50% of the characters are going to be LGBT. Okay, weird, considering that at best the gay population is 10% and you got a fraction of 1%, if we're being completely honest, okay, of the trans population. So why do they need to have 50% of the representation? Oh, because you're trying to sexualize children. And then when you get an obvious statement like this, we know what you're doing. You can stop with the cover. It's fine. It's like the people who were really big Marvel fans to begin with, they've already started leaving the ship, okay? Your stage 4, phase 4, post-endgame shit, it ain't hitting like it used to. It's all fucking garbage. It's been a big flop, big failure, okay? All over YouTube, you can find video essays that'll fill up an entire week that'll tell you that phase 4 is trash. And She-Hulk, it could quite possibly be the cherry on top of that shit sundae. But the showrunners just can't fucking hold that L, can they? A history of breaking the fourth wall gave Marvel and Disney Plus's She-Hulk attorney-at-law permission to break pretty much any rule established in the MCU. No, it didn't. You could have established She-Hulk as the character that was going to break the fourth wall, a la what Deadpool was doing, but he wasn't in the MCU at that point, but that was his character as well. But I know in the comics, She-Hulk was there first, and yeah, they could have done it that way, but they also didn't have to assassinate Daredevil, they didn't have to assassinate the Hulk, they didn't have to assassinate Mr. Immortal, they didn't have to do all of that shit. But they did. And if you think by just making little cheeky asides, okay, looking directly at the camera and saying some offhanded comment is a license to destroy the MCU, I don't think you know what you're talking about. Because there's over a decade of content that you could shit on by that logic. It makes no fucking sense. But what truly opened the doors of the creative team, series director Kat Coiro tells Polygon, was Tatiana Maslany's take on Jennifer Walters, the hustling lawyer, under She-Hulk's gamma-irradiated green skin. Jennifer was decidedly not larger than life. Really? Because again, from the reviews that I was listening to and all the content that I was consuming in the background when I was doing work, was that Jennifer Walters wasn't that different from She-Hulk, really. She was just kind of an annoying cunt over and over again, but tomato, tomato, right? At least not in human form and without the ticking clock, evil villain premise. Yeah, because you had it, okay? You could have had it with Abomination being there, and then you got rid of that. And then you could have had that with Intelligentsia. But then the finale happened and nobody liked it. And this idea that TV shows or movies need this ticking clock in order to have stakes that are there, you're just a piss poor story writer if you think that that's the only way that you can tell a story. You fucking mongoloids. Because you could have very well have told a slice of life story. You could have had 9 episodes, 9 perfectly encapsulated stories about a dual personality attorney, okay, with a bunch of different clients in the superhero world. Like, imagine that, the amount of crimes, if you take a look at it, that happen in any given superhero movie, and then you want to take on any of those associated lawsuits, that could be interesting. But again, the showrunners also said in another interview very early in development, or very early during the release of this story, when everybody's like, the law in this is fucking garbage, and then they came out and said, actually, we don't really know how to write law. And it's like, oh, okay, cool, so you just wanted to push an agenda, which you've just, self-snitched on yourself by saying that it was sexualizing children. A little weird, but all right. At least not, in human form and without the ticking clock. Evil villain. Marvel got to explore superhero dumb in a totally unique way. Is unique a synonym for terrible, awful, cancer-ridden? Okay. The thing I always loved about the show were the smaller moments and being able to see a superhero coming home and kicking her shoes off after a long day of work and then throwing her legs up in the air with whatever Tinder date showed up. Corio says she cites Ant-Man as one of her favorite Marvel movies. Oh, people who've watched all of the MCU couldn't tell you about the story of Ant-Man, but I guess she just picked the most forgettable film that's out there. It's like, oh yeah, I really like Thor: The Dark World. Like, I'll tell you, my experience with the MCU, I've watched all of Phase 1, okay, and then a couple of entries into Phase 2, and then I punched out. Like I've said multiple times, and it was probably even in the last She-Hulk video that I did. Iron Man 3 is when I punched out of new films entirely, okay, for the exact same reason why this finale hit a little bit different from the commentary that I was seeing. It's like, wow, that was exactly the reason why I gave up on films right there, because of what Iron Man 3 did, and it's a second act low point where it's like, oh, okay, Ben Kingsley, who you brought in to portray the Mandarin, was actually just playing a character. Oh, you just wasted all of our time before that. Great, wonderful, fantastic, cool. Well, you can fuck off. I would have had respect for you if you would have just stated that Iron Man 3 was your favorite film and your big inspiration that's out there. But anyways, simply because it has little kinds of peaks at normal life. I don't know, maybe it does. I haven't seen that shit. And again, nobody talks about Ant-Man because it's so fucking forgettable, other than establishing Hank Pym and the Pym particles and bringing in Paul Rudd, I guess, like all that shit. I don't fucking know. And while Corio was thrilled to stage Daredevil hallway fights and a momentary season finale brawl between Hulk, King, Abomination, and She-Hulk, which she reveals thanks to a loopy schedule, was the first scene she actually shot for She-Hulk. Oh, okay, cool. She was excited to take the series to uncharted places in the MCU, specifically the bedroom. Imagine that. My favorite film is Ant-Man because he can shrink down and get right inside of that cooch. Wait, what? Or he can transmogrify his body in order to just have a fucking hog on him. Like that dude, he could really lay down some pipe. What are you talking about? And get the fuck off the premises. Oh no, okay. We always felt like, Merch, there was a fear around sex and around the idea of sex positivity. Yeah, because there's a mandate at Disney, okay, that everything needs to be PG-13 at most. There's a bunch of other internal rules that are there for the MCU as well, like no smoking or anything like that, because I guess, Wolverine's iconic look with a cigar that's too much. Can he just have a vape or something like that? Oh, could you? No, I've put that out into the world. I don't want that. I don't want Wolverine with a vape. I don't want that. No, that's bad. But it's weird because I'm old enough to remember when Black Widow came out a couple of years ago, when Scarlett Johansson was on this big campaign about how she didn't like how attractive Black Widow was and how she was being portrayed as a sex object. Weird. Okay. So it was our job to keep having the conversation. We wanted to say, look, she's a woman in her 30s navigating modern life. Yeah, nothing's more appealing than seeing some fucking post-wall career woman try to navigate dating profiles. Oh my god, we've all been on social media and we can see the effects of what feminism has done to the modern woman. Yes, miles of dick has been run through her, but she'll eventually be able to settle down with her dream guy. Okay, cool. Like, we need superheroes to point out the delusion of the modern woman. Great, wonderful, fantastic. Sex is a part of that story, and how far could we go? Yeah, nobody wants to see no green cooch on screen. That's totally fine. You do you, though. Maslany was game to take the character there. I know it's something that's very important to her, this idea of sex positivity. Again, this is supposed to be a superhero story first and foremost. You're establishing a character that has a lot of external baggage associated with her in a good way, okay? A lot of established lore that's right there, and you can go about this the right way, but catfishing a dude, seeing her pumped and dumped on first dates, like, I don't know if that's exposing the message that you want it to, but I guess if you just want to, you know, tell us how terrible living in California is, okay? Because these showrunners, I'd imagine Kat Coiro is probably I don't know, maybe a single woman in her 30s navigating modern life. I would imagine it probably doesn't look too dissimilar, because the fact that they had to have the writer's room self-inserted into the finales, just a bit of an own in and of itself. But okay, cool. A lot of the conversations about sexualization in the show came from Tatiana, and were with Tatiana. Exactly, that's why she put on a polka dot sundress and never got into like a She-Hulk bikini, or she was in the she was in the classic She-Hulk onesie like once, so I don't know. With a resume littered with character-driven comedy, recent gigs including It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Girls 5 Eva, okay, and the recent Jennifer Lopez, somebody who's got a beard at 53 or some shit like that, rom-com Marry Me. I know I've heard of Always Sunny and people like that, but the rest of that stuff, I have no fucking idea what any of that stuff is, so maybe that's the reason why this shit was so poor. It's no surprise one of Coirio's favorite moments in season 1. Was she on that, or did she just tell you things that she liked? Okay. Is teaming up with a classic rom-com moment after Jennifer and Matt Murdock hook up. I loved filming the little scene at the end of episode 8 where, yeah, she willed into existence Daredevil against his will in order to trap him there. Yeah, nothing fucked up about that at all. It's not like you didn't have another woman enslave an entire, I don't know, like a city or something like that against her own will or something like that. It's just a little fucking weird, I guess. Can't even have your own original thoughts in your own show. Fucking, like, Christ almighty. That shit wasn't but, 2-3 years ago? It's a homage to the tropes of an early 2000s rom-com. Great, because those are memorable. When you pan across clothing, but at the same time, it was with batons and helmets. What are you fucking talking about, you sad, sad old woman? Coirio's next project is episodic reimagining of the Spiderwick Chronicles for Disney Plus. Cool. I'd imagine 3,800 people will check that out. I have a very eclectic resume, none of which, provided anything of cultural significance, but just like the rest of the credits on your resume, She-Hulk will be forgotten and thrown into the wind because it's ultimately forgettable. It was written by a bunch of children. It was apparently supposed to be children, but with a sexual flair. It's because these people all live in California. They exist in the Los Angeles bubble, and that bubble is fucking cancer, okay? Because California is about the worst place on earth. Let's keep it a buck. New California law reduces penalty for knowingly exposing someone to HIV. That's been on the books since 2017, for Christ's sakes. Okay, so if you're walking around with AIDS, you can just go ahead and give it to anybody that you want. You don't have to tell them or anything like that, because, yeah, we can basically, take care of that. Old Senator Scott Wiener made sure that was first and foremost. But don't worry, that happened a long time ago. Okay, nobody remembers that. Okay, it's already off the books. It's decriminalized. Okay. It's no longer a felony, right? It's now simply a misdemeanor that you can just pay off down at the courthouse while you're wearing a bathrobe, drinking a cup of broth while carrying a small dog. There's also other laws that have been taken off the books in California, like passes a bill reducing penalties for oral, anal, and other depraved acts with children. You don't fucking say. You don't fucking say. And guess who was the legislature who put that bill across? Well, that would be Senator Scott Wiener. Lawmakers passed a bill on Monday that would reduce penalties for adults who have oral and anal sex with willing minor children, children, if the sex offender is within 10 years of age of the victim. So really expanding Romeo and Juliet laws. So that would go ahead and theoretically allow these 20-something, mid-20s, modern women who may or may not be in some of those writers' room to have certain dalliances with whoever they may like. And then also, you know, pass over the gift that keeps on giving. But that's what social media is doing for you. And if only we had somebody to call in the situation who has a long history of dealing with these types of people. Well, actually, we do. Because Kyle Rittenhouse has a YouTube channel now. All of a sudden, he's just launching something with, I think that's Brendan Herrera, right? Well, you're about a year too late. You should have been doing this beforehand. But I guess better late than never. This is probably going to be hilarious, okay? Kyle Rittenhouse starts a new YouTube channel devoted to guns and the Second Amendment. Like, I don't know if he had some sort of a time period or some sort of legal obligations that he needed to fulfill over a year later, okay? Or maybe it was just one of those perfect situations where it's like, hi, to mark the 1 year anniversary of me being acquitted in a court. Oh, I'm sorry, a clown court, kangaroo court, whatever you want to call it, okay? Now I'm going to be launching a YouTube channel. It's going to be dedicated to guns because that's fucking based. It's better than what else he's been doing on the internet. Doing fucking cringe TikToks with his conservathought girlfriend. My fucking guy. I understand. A pair of big blue eyes, blonde hair, and decent tits will make a man do stupid things, especially a kid who's not... I don't think he's even 20 at this point. He might be 20 at this point, but still. Don't be doing dumb shit like that, because the internet doesn't fucking forget, my guy. But at least you're going to be putting your experience with firearms to good use. The fact that it's going to be on YouTube, how long? How long do you think before this YouTube channel of his gets taken down like that? It won't take long. It won't take long because the same people that are writing She-Hulk and passing laws in California also work at YouTube. Cleared Kenosha... The motherfucker used perfect self-defense. Oh boy, this is going to be one of those articles now, isn't it? Has started a YouTube channel devoted to guns and the Second Amendment rights. The teen who shot dead 2 people. Ventilated a pedophile. Shot another guy who's swinging a skateboard at his head, who also has a history of domestic abuse, who tried to gut his grandmother and his siblings as well because they weren't doing the housework that he thought that he should have. And also, you forgot to mention, took a bicep off of a communist. So Kyle Rittenhouse did nothing wrong and injured another. Oh man, while defending himself during a Black Lives Matter riot. At least you got that point right. In Kenosha, Wisconsin, started the channel on Sunday, quickly notching more than 34,000 subscribers. Yeah, it's probably already exploded. He's going to get that silver plaque just like that, and he deserves all of that success. Okay, that kid has been through shit, all of the fucking shit. And he deserves all the success that he gets in the entire world. He should have 1 million subscribers. If you have fucking degenerate motherfuckers like James Charles being one of the biggest YouTube channels that are out there, Kyle Rittenhouse should be right up there at the top. Just to stick it to mass media and all of YouTube's other chosen people. Hello, I'm super excited to announce that I'll be starting a YouTube channel. I'm glad that he didn't start it off by, what's going on, guys? Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe, and He wrote alongside a 35-second teaser in which he promised some great content to come. Exactly. Ventilate Pedophile Friday. Hopefully we have that section. Arm Augmentation Mondays. Something for the middle of the week. Domestic Abuser Tuesday. Something like that. That'd be fun. You could, you know it. Eh? How to properly aim while wearing surgical gloves. How about that? And then over the weekend, you could just have little gaming videos of just Call of Duty and that type of stuff. Because that was a pretty popular talking point during the trial. That could be fun. I look forward to creating content about guns and talking about the Second Amendment with all of you. Wrote the now 19-year-old. I thought he was 19 during the time of the trial, but okay, cool. Yeah, so he's 19. You might remember me as the kid who defended myself with a firearm during the 2020 riots in Kenosha, Wisconsin. He wrote on the channel's bio, yes sir, yes sir. One of the most clear-cut cases of self-defense ever caught on video. But no, he's a killer. He killed the Black Lives Matter protesters. Yeah, sure thing, pal. Join me in my journey to learn everything I can about new and vintage firearms and help defend the Second Amendment. There he is right there, and he knows a thing or two about firearms because he has excellent trigger discipline. Very selective editing they have on that one because that's Gage Grosskreutz right there, okay? That's while he still has his bicep and before he decides to pull out his pistol that he was illegally carrying during that time in order to put it right towards Kyle Rittenhouse's head. Yeah, kind of neglect that one. Yeah, and there he is, crying on the stand because Binger's a cunt. He was charged with homicide, yeah, and he beat every single one of those. Oh, just like Anthony Huber tried to and successfully would beat his relatives. Attempted homicide and reckless endangerment in the deaths of Joseph, I Love to Touch Kids, and he probably also has a writing credit for an MCU show. Rosenbaum, 36 years old. Anthony, we already discussed his past. Huber, 26. And wounding Gage the Commie Grosskreutz. God fucking bless Kyle Rittenhouse. God bless his accuracy. And fuck pedophiles in Hollywood. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.